So today, we're going to go through different chapters in the book. I think they're chapter 10, web scraping, as well as the chapter on PDFs. We're going to learn a lot of different things today, but primarily now that we've got the basics of, now that we've got a good handle on the way Python works. One second. Now that we've got a good handle on Python, I think it's appropriate that we start actually using it to do something that you may have, that you've probably encountered something similar about. All right? So bear with me. I swear this will make sense. Okay? So I am currently trying to teach myself Japanese. Okay? It's rather difficult. And it's not so much difficult because the language is particularly difficult, but that, you know, setting the self-discipline and learning things by yourself is difficult, right? There's always time to do it later, right? There's no due dates or anything. But it also is difficult because you got to find the curriculum and the resources. Fortunately for me, Georgia Public Broadcasting made a series a while ago called Irashai, which is Japanese for welcome. Georgia Public Broadcasting is is affiliated with. What's that sound? Sorry. Georgia Public Broadcasting is affiliated with apparently NPR. I thought they were affiliated with PBS, but regardless, they made a web series. And they've got online videos. I know, I'm really going on a tangent here, but I swear to God it's going to make sense in a second. Okay? Right? And these are videos that are pretty, you know, they're designed for high school, and they were made in like the 2000s, so the production values aren't like fully there, but they're pretty good, right? Instructor basically saying various things, using Japanese, talking about the Japanese vowels and that kind of stuff. Anyway, but it's free, and so I use it. Now, one of the things they have are these, and so now we're getting into the bit that interests me for the purposes of programming. Now, one of the things they do have here is a video check sheet, which you should print out, right, and fill out while you're doing the video. Now, that's not so bad to download one of these things and print it out, right? However, there's not just one Japanese video. There are, let's see, under the course for Japanese 1, that looks like a pretty big drop-down menu. There's 73 of them, right? And on Japanese 2, there are 63 videos. So, and I'm sure you may have encountered something like this before where you just need to download a whole lot of things or open a whole lot of things or print a whole lot of things. Or basically, you have to open it up. So I have to open this up, right? Open this up as well, open up this one as well, and then download this video.
Hi.
I fixed it.
Okay.
So download, click on this to download it. Oh, except it opens up in here, so I have to click over here to actually download it, right? Same, and then over here, maybe I have to do the same thing. You know, or maybe I'll right click, but that's actually a bit more work, and then I have to drag down and do the save link as, only I'm going to probably miss that and like do save link to pocket or something like that at one point, right? Raise your hand if you've been in a similar situation where you've just got to download a whole lot of things, right? Yeah, I thought so. Is it boring? Yeah. So we're going to learn how to write a program to do that for us instead. Okay. Now, writing a program for us kind of just makes this it requires a couple things. First, that the URLs are easy and practical to identify. So right up here is the URL, right? So let's just go ahead and do a review of a URL. URLs are, you know, it's not actually showing the HTTPS because it's assumed, but if I open it up in Genie over here, if I copy it and I paste, right, there's the URL, it's actually https:// right? Which means that it stands for the hypertext, hypertext protocol. So, and the S stands for secure, right? Which is now enabled by default for everything. So if you don't have that S now, you might get rejected out of hand for these. www indicating it's on the World Wide Web domain, I mean, that's not actually not necessary. But then you've got gpb.org. So it's in the .org top level domain, right? So those are things like .com, .co.uk, well, not .co.uk. .uk is actually the top level domain there. .org, .net, and these days some fun ones like .xyz, or .news, right? So there's a lot more top level domains these days. All right? And under that, it essentially works like a file system like on Unix or on your Mac, where basically that you've got directories, the Irashai directory, the Japanese 1 directory under the lesson 2. And that gives you the file for this HTML web page, or this HTML page. So if we view the page source, actually what you get is not, this is essentially this code, which then gets interpreted into this web page by your web browser. That's your web browser's entire job. It has one job. It essentially has one primary job, which is to obtain these web pages over here, which are not really that readable, right? And render it thusly, right? And to basically implement certain web standard formats and make sure that basically it can actually read the web pages and it won't break it. Okay? So, but going back to reading these things, it's useful when, if we want to scrape stuff from the web, like this, and just basically write a small, we can call it a bot if we want to sound nice and advanced. If we want to write a small web crawling bot to download stuff like this, it helps when the URLs are predictable, right? Here's the URL for this PDF over here. Sorry, for this PDF over here. Let me copy and paste it into something bigger over here. So so this PDF is located at gpb.org/files/pdfs/irashai1l2.pdf, which is a bit, I mean, I understand what it's saying here, but that may not necessarily make sense. But if we remember and think about it, there's two Japanese programs over here. You've got Japanese class 1, you've got Japanese 101 and then Japanese 201 essentially, or 102 or however you want to say it. Right, you've got your first Japanese class and your second Japanese class. So I bet you if I altered the first number over here and bumped that up to a 2, L2, ooh, I got another PDF. And it says Japanese 2, Lesson 2. So the first number is the season, essentially, so to speak, and the second number is that lesson, right? It's like it's like season episode, essentially, only it's class. Right, if I bump up to 3 as the first number, I'm going to get a file not found exception or something. Yeah, page not found because it just doesn't exist, right? There's only Japanese 2. But if I go up to like 240, 2L40, that will give me Japanese 2 lesson 40. Right, and so all I have to change is this number in this string, which isn't too hard, right? I can write a loop pretty easily to modify a string like that. Okay. So if I can basically generate all the strings that I need to for all of these files, I can download them all onto my hard drive. Mind you, then I have to print out 100 PDFs, but we're going to cover that next, which is we'll take care of those 100 PDFs and we'll just merge them into one PDF so we only have to print out one single file. Okay. Yeah, I am automating as much of this as I can because it's boring. And in case you're wondering how long this actually practically takes when I'm not teaching, it took me about, I did it in my spare time while waiting for a doctor's appointment last year. It did not take me much time at all to do, to basically do that. It was fairly easy. Easy enough that I did not save the code and I was not worried about having to recreate it. So let's learn about, so let me go ahead and open up the, let me go ahead and turn off my VPN because our textbook does not like it. And we'll go to automate the boring stuff. Here we go. So over here, right, I'm skipping a bit about the whole. We've kind of covered this stuff, reading and writing files and organizing files. I'm skipping the debugging. I'm going straight into the web scraping right now. That's not going to be an issue. So chapter 11, right? And the reason I want to bring this up is because that point that he brings up over here, which is that it used to, when I was basically like, you know, going through school up until about middle school, I think, was basically, internet wasn't really a thing until about middle school for me, until you got basically a 56K modem connection at that point. And after that point, basically, the computer would just be a thing with programs you would run on it. And after that, it's basically, at some point in college, I think, when I was going for my undergraduate, it just transitioned to being like, I use my computer to run games, and then if I'm not running games, I'm reading something on the internet, and I have the web browser open, and I do everything through the web browser. I'm writing my documents in my web browser for the most part, right? Of course, if I'm coding, then, but for the most part, we do our stuff in the web browser. So there's a bunch of things that basically, though, with dealing with the internet, there's a bunch of libraries that are already available that we don't really have to work about. There's a bunch of stuff available. We're going to cover primarily requests. There's a web browser, which will open up, use Python to open up a browser. We don't really have to go over that too much because it's not really relevant for the purposes of here. But requests allow us to download files and web pages from the internet, just like we were. So we're going to be writing files just like we did with open. In fact, we're going to use open to do it. It's just going to look slightly different. Then there's also beautiful soup, which you can use to, if you download a HTML web page, you want to be able to parse it, right, to automate stuff. And we'll learn more about that on Thursday, I think. And Selenium is this fun thing that controls web browsers. It can do, but basically you can automate a whole lot of stuff up to and the point of you can control keyboard and mouse using Python if you want to. You can automate a whole lot of stuff here. Right now, there's a bunch of other stuff here, but I'm not going to really use it until much later. What I want to focus on is is this part, which is downloading files from the web. So for that, we'll use the requests module. Okay. So it says it doesn't necessarily come with Python. So if you've got Python, so first test your program by launching Python in some way or shape or form. Okay? So I need everybody to do this, okay, if you've got it with you. And if you don't do this, it will fail horribly. So first thing I need you to do is try to import requests. Okay, if it succeeds, great. If not, I'm going to have to show you how to install it very quickly, which sounds a lot more scary than it actually is. Okay, so raise your hand if you get an import error or something like that. Everybody, okay. So notice that it doesn't come with Python. A lot of modules that like that just don't come in Python. So if you've got Python, then you will want to run if you've got just Python, I think if you've just got Python 3, you can run pip, but I would just be safe and try running pip 3, okay? So in that case, you will want to run the following command on your command line in your terminal or something. So either if you're on a Mac, open up the terminal. You can just go into Finder. I'll give you a second to find it. It should come up with like a white, little command prompt, little hacker window. And if you're running Windows, you just want to open up the Start menu and start CMD, the command menu. If you can't, don't worry. I'll help you with it. CMD, command prompt. And pip doesn't work on Windows, don't worry. Go to Appendix 1 and it will help you, or I'll help you out later. You might not have checked all the boxes you needed to during the Python install. So anyway, so if you do pip3 install requests, that should take care of it. And you'll get something like this. And and then it says, hey, you successfully installed pip3 and all the stuff that it needed. Pip is a small program that should have been that hopefully was installed with Python. If it, yes.
I'm getting pip3 is not recognized as an internal or external command.
That means that you didn't install pip when you install Python, which is no problem whatsoever, which I'll show you how to rectify now. Okay? So if you were working on Windows and that didn't come up, Python, let's go to Python, go to python.org, download, and what you'll want to do is that you'll want to run, let's see, you'll want to download for Windows, let's see, download the latest release over here, download the latest, but it should come up automatically for you if you're running Windows. It's not coming up automatically for me, but anyway. Download the installer, and on the installer there will be some checkboxes to click that will basically say to install pip. Okay, so you'll just want to go back to the Python website, click on 3.7.3, download it over there, and there's a couple of things you'll just want to click. One of them is to install pip on your system.
Wait, is it PIP or PEP?
PIP.
Okay.
Yep. Pip Windows. How do I install pip on Windows 3? It says it should ship. So, yep. And that should be that should be something that's automatically in the installer. Okay. If not, there's instructions on how to install pip. And in the book there should be Appendix A has how to do that. How to install third-party modules. The pip tool, you can find it at Python. That's what you need to do. So what you'll want to do when you're installing Windows, you will want to, so it's probably already installed, you just didn't register the Python commands in the path file when you were installing Python, and that's what needs to be done with Windows. But otherwise, you can navigate to this directory, so you could do cd python, whatever, then /scripts, then you'll be able to run pip. Yeah, on Windows, you just need to do pip install module name. On Mac, OS X, you need to do pip3, and you will need to type sudo, most likely. And sudo is a command that you need to be careful about.
On Windows, I have me do python -m -pip install.
So you just did this on Windows? Python -m sorry, pip.
Space and pip. Space pip. There you go. Space install.
Yep. And if you don't have pip, you can install it like this, but you probably have pip. Right. So again, if you don't have it, then for lab, you guys can go over it in lab for how to do how to install it if you're having trouble installing it. But on Windows, really, you just need to download if you're having trouble with Windows, download Python again, and when you install it, click the option, which has an administrator option, to add it to the path. That whole thing about it not being recognized as a command, that's because Python didn't add it to the path, meaning Windows doesn't know where to find those executables or that they exist. All right. So
the executable installer is what we're looking for?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the executable, the Python, literally download Python again and install it. And that should allow you to reinstall it or upgrade it, and then there will be some reinstallation options that you can run. All right, so now that I've got, and that I know I have requests installed here, Python 3 import requests, I got to figure out how to use it. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so let me go ahead and just knock out these URLs over here. Classroom, PDF downloader. Okay. And again, I'll be sure to post this code online so that you guys can catch up with this. All right. So first thing I need to do is import that module I just got. Import requests. Requests with an S. And let's go ahead and look about how we use that. Web scraping. So the way we use it is we use it to basically request something. Like so. So here, for instance, they've got this line over here, which I'm going to copy, requests.result, res for result. Result is equal to request.get HTTPS or any kind of URL you want to get, rj.txt, which is Shakespeare. And I'll just go ahead and print len of res over here, which will be interesting. So response has no length. So what would I need? Oh, text. Result of length.text. So in other words, give me that result in text and tell me how long it is. So it says that that's that many, let's see, that many characters long. So let's go ahead and print result.text over here. It's Project Gutenberg, and it is Romeo and Juliet. Right, so I just downloaded that. Now I haven't saved it anywhere on my computer. That was just kind of floating there like a string, like I read it in. Okay, so result basically just saves it in an object, but it's now in a variable. But as soon as the program's done, that file's gone. So we have to write the result to the disk. Okay. So not result, response. So the second thing we want to do is, once we get it, is that we want to check for an error. So this will crash the program if we couldn't download it for some reason. Res.raise for status, which basically says raise an error if there's an issue that would cause us an exception. And so it didn't crash, so we're okay. If I turn this into rh.txt, then it will give me a I tried to do that at line 5, but notice that the error came at line 6. And it will let me know what happened and why it crashed, why it didn't work. It says 404 not found. 404 means that is the standardized error code, which means you can't find something on the web, right? A lot of web pages have different 404 not found pages. So if I go, for instance, chapter 50, it's going to give me just a basic not found there. One of my personal favorites is the NPR 404 web page. So for instance, if I go to npr.org and if I go to, I'm just going to hammer some text out there. So I'm just trying to go to a random subdomain of it. You can customize your page not found. It says, we can't find the page you were looking for. It's a shame your page is lost, but at least it's in good company. Here are various things that have gotten lost throughout the years. So you know, so it's very, so you can customize that. However, you know, if you design a web page, you can customize your 404 page, and generally it's always a nice Easter egg to have something that looks fun like that. So I want to download this file, and now, so let's get back to that. I've got my result now. I need to download it and save it to text. Apparently I need to remember not to close my tabs that I'm currently working with. Okay? Okay, so now how do we save it? So as you know, we save it just like we would a file, which is that you use open and we use write. The big difference is that rather than using the write method, you know, so right, we would open a, like, remember, to write a file, the way we would do it is that if we wanted to open a file and read it, we would say open target.txt or whatever file extension, and then if we wanted to read it, we would go with R mode, right, to read it. Then we had write mode if we wanted to write text to a file. But PDFs aren't text, they're binary files. So instead what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be using WB for writing binary. And this lets Python know that this file, we're going to be writing bits to it. So I'm going to call it target.pdf rather than target.txt. Okay? And this is to make sure that we maintain Unicode encoding. Unicode, again, I've mentioned this multiple times, but it has two links over here that you should read. Joel on Software, the absolute minimum every software developer must absolutely positively know about Unicode and character sets, no excuses. Read this sometime before you graduate. And then Pragmatic Unicode, which is, or how do I stop the pain, right? Which is basically what is Unicode and how they work and how it works. Which is just gives you kind of an idea of just how deep various even simple things like displaying text on the text on your screen can be. Okay, so to write a web page, what we're going to use is we're going to use a for loop with something called responses iter content method, which basically means we're going to read chunks of a file rather than trying to read it all at once and write it to a file, because that might be huge and that could give us issues. Instead, we're going to write small bits of the file one at a time to the file, specifically a chunk. So for this one, like what we do is that so this program would save it. So it would say, hey, raise play file open romeo.txt, write binary, and then for chunk in the response, iterate through the content 100,000 bytes at a time, write that chunk. So let's go ahead and see how this works. I'm going to do this again on our side over here, right, if you couldn't get that down. So so I'm going to go ahead and say, again, so I'm going to write this as a rj.txt, write binary. So target is equal to open Romeo and Juliet.txt. Oh, and I should switch this back to being rj as opposed to rh. Okay, for chunk in response dot iter content 100,000 bytes. So we're going to iterate through the content of the response 100,000 bytes at a time. Target dot write chunk. And then we finish it off by saying target.close to make sure it gets saved. Now if I write this, so I'll give you guys a second to catch up on that. and I run it, and it doesn't give me an error, so presumably it works. But to confirm that it works, I have to go into my file browser, which let me go ahead and shrink this a bit so that you guys can look. So file browser, let's go ahead and go into Classroom. And then if I go to Intro to Python, I will see that there is a, let's see, it was rj.txt. It has 179 kilobytes. So if I open it, it's the file I just downloaded. Wasn't there before. I'll prove it. Let me go ahead and delete it. I'll run it again. All right, now it's gone, and now it's back. Right? So this this grabbed a file off of the internet and wrote it to my hard drive. It automatically saved it for me. That's pretty nice, right? All right. So I'm going to make a new folder in this called, I'm going to call this saved. Okay? And why am I making a new folder? Because I want to keep all my output into the same directory. Right? So these are going to be the saved files. So to save it in there, first I have to create that folder. That's very, very important. Create that folder. And then I'm going to go saved/rj.txt, which says inside the saved folder, save it to there, inside the saved folder. Run it, boom, right? This is a new folder I just created, so there should be nothing in it except that I just wrote something to there, so there it is now. That's the file. Okay. Now, okay. So now what can I do to use this to download my Japanese worksheets? Okay. So let's go ahead and use this combined to start downloading these Japanese worksheets. So I'm going to go ahead and comment out this bit that we have over here, and I'll rewrite it over here. So if you want to start a new file, you can, but I'm just going ahead and comment it out so that I still have that example of how we do it easy to see there, right? But I want to rewrite it so that I can start remembering this some more. Now, on the final exam, I might ask you to read something, you know, rather than opening a file and reading lines from it and analyzing it like that, I might ask you to do it from a web page. But I'll be sure to remind you, like on that front page, how do you grab something from the internet, right? It's not something I expect you to memorize, right? So if on the final exam that you are asked to get something from a web page, it's going to be on that, you know, first page that tells you how to do something, right? So import requests. So the difference here is that I just don't want to get one web page. I want to get a lot of web pages. Right? Right? This is, so we know that basically that all the stuff for season 1, for the first ones, will be here in this file over here. They're going to be in this folder, so to speak. /file/pdf/irashai, and then 1l2.pdf, or one, whatever the thing is. So all we really have to do is, and I'm going to put an HTTPS over there. All we have to do is just simply, when we want to download a file, we can create a for loop and kind of just churn our way through these files and add the appropriate number to each of these. So let's go ahead and figure out what numbers we need. So Japanese 1 has how many episodes? It has 63 episodes in it, which means that there's 63 worksheets. Oh, sorry, 73. There's 73 episodes for Japanese 1. Okay? So what we need, so in other words, that means that this URL needs to be 1l1.pdf, and then it needs to be L.2, then we need to get L.2 PDF, L.3, L.4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We know this because of the way it's structured, right? We look at the web page and we see that basically that they aren't trying to obfuscate anything. They aren't trying to hide where stuff is. And that's not always true, unfortunately. Like, say I wanted to download these videos for offline viewing. First, unfortunately, they put them in a player like this, right? And it's a custom player, JW player, so I don't get the chance to really see where it's coming from, unless, of course, I do, what is it, F11? No, Shift F10? No. Let's see. Web developer over here. Control Shift I. Toggle tools down here. That's right. Network. Reload the page. Start request. Okay, which comes up with all this data over here. And if I hit the play button, by the way, so it's always useful. Basically, if there's something that exists on your computer, you can generally grab access to it. It's a bit tricky. Mind you, there's a lot of other corporate solutions that exist to make sure that you can't do stuff like this. But let's go ahead and see where the stuff goes. Yep, so basically what they're doing over here is that if I open this in a new tab, this video bit over here, it's making it very, very impossible for me to get that content, because notice the URL, it's pretty terrible over here. It's just random gobbledygook if you can't read it, maintain it, and yeah, and it's feeding me 8-second chunks at a time. So making it basically it's deliberately made so that it's impossible for me to scrape. Unless I happen to know it a bit better, which I don't. But the PDFs, no need to do that. So we're going to go ahead and download that, just the PDF. We're going to just focus on the PDFs. But the same thing could be used for videos. So what we want to do is write a for loop. So let's go ahead and say basically, let's call this HTTPS, this string, HTTPS:// I'm going to put in a string without the whole PDF thing, but www.gpd.org/files/pdfs/erashy, and this part I believe is necessary. I'm not sure, but I think it is. And I'm going to call this base URL, right? Because it's the base URL, the Uniform Resource Locator. Okay, and what we'll do is that we're going to just create a simple loop to create all the targets that I want to go through, before we start trying to download stuff. So for I in, and I want a range. I want to start at file 1, go up to 70. I want to go and include 73, which means I want to go to 74. And that means that my target URL is equal to the base URL plus 1, right? Or plus 1 plus str, turn I into a string. Oh, sorry, plus 1L, turn I into a string, and then add the PDF extension to the end of that. Then print target URL. So all I'm going to do is just now if I run this, those gives me all the files and let's confirm if they work by clicking on it, or I'll just grab it and copy it into here. And potential security risk, advanced. Oh, I know why, because I put in HTTPS and it doesn't have HTTPS, so that's why. So if I get an error, I'll be able to figure it's because I've got HTTPS and it wants HTTP. So let's go ahead and just do HTTP instead. So I can grab it now, and say, hey, go to HTTP, and there, it came, no problems for that. Yes? Yes, but they don't have the rights, but they haven't set up their certificates for that domain, I think. https://. Notice that it's set, notice over here it's got connection is not secure. It's not using HTTPS. And I've had to create an exception in order to use that. So I'm trying to say secure, and it's telling me nope, nope, not going to do that. So that's okay. I really don't care about my data being encrypted to grab there. I mean, I'm recording myself saying I'm putting that information out on the web in the first place. So, you know, any kind of idea of encrypting that web traffic is kind of an exercise in futility. But anyway, those are great. So now I can download those. So now that I have a target URL, what I'll do is I'll create a result is equal to requests. Let's go ahead and download them. .get to open it up. Target URL, right, because it just took in a string. And then I can check if there's an error. Res.raise for status. And then for chunk in so this will connect and grab the file. And then check if there's an error, and then for chunk in the file in res.iter content dot 100,000 bytes. So we're going to, for every chunk that consists of 100,000 bytes at a time. Oh, I skipped a step. I have to open that. Target file is equal to it needs to be equal to open. So we know it needs to be open, then it needs a name, and it needs to go into write binary mode. Okay, now for the name, we know that we just can't say like out.pdf over here. And why is that? Because I would just keep overwriting the same file over and over again. So instead what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to say I'm going to be simple and say J1L plus. So I'm going to actually give it the same name. So 1L so 1L plus 1 and then stri over here. So this will concatenate. So this will make it 1L1, 1L2, 1L3, 1L4, 1L5, 1L6. So then for chunk in the file, we'll say target file dot write chunk. So for every chunk, we write that out. And then we are going to go ahead and do target file dot close to close the connection to that file. And that's it to grab all those files for at least season 1. So let me go ahead and run it and see if we get any errors. So I have it printing out whenever it successfully downloads and writes a file. And if I go, actually, I made a mess of things a bit. So if I go into my classroom, right, I didn't put them in the place I said I would, but they're all here. I wanted to put them all in saved. So let me go ahead and delete all these guys, delete them, and let's go ahead and put them into, modify the URL, put them in saved/1L. And now if I run it, here it's saying it's reporting it's grabbing all of them, right? The server is probably going to be very confused why it's getting a bunch of connections from Pennsylvania right now. So I've downloaded them. And if I go to saved, over here, look at that. I've got all those files over here. And then I can either make a loop to do the second season, but honestly, that seems more trouble than it's worth. all I have to do over here is then I can just go and switch this to 2. I can make a second loop if I wanted to, but I can switch this to 2, everything to 2 over here, and then change the range. And I think the range is different, right? There's less episodes in Japan too. In Japanese too, how many episodes are there? There are there are 63 episodes, but I know the 63 does not have a worksheet. So 62 is the last worksheet. And I know that because I checked it out before coming to class. So I'll just change this to 63, which will go up to but not include 63. And now I run it, and it's grabbing all those files. So great. And again, because I actually knew how to do this and wasn't teaching it, it didn't take 45 minutes to do all this. It actually took me closer to like 15. Actually closer to 5 to do this part. It was pretty easy to do. Okay, so I've got all these files, but like I said, my job is that I wanted to print these out. Right? Still a bit of an issue, right? Be a bit of a hassle if I opened all these 136 files and printed them and then had to print them all individually, right? Now I don't know necessarily. Now what I know I don't want to do is try to write a Python program to print something. No. Printers are evil. They are devil boxes. They are awful. They are deliberately designed to be awful. I hate printers. I hate printers with a passion. So I certainly don't want to write a program that tries to interact with the printer. Okay, so instead of trying to print out 136 different files. Sorry, it's 135 because that rj.txt shouldn't be there. Instead of trying to print out 135 different files to the devil box, I'd rather just print out one file. Okay, so let's learn about how we mess with PDFs. And again, PDFs they're nice. I think they're an open format now, but you can't really read them. They're binary files. You can't read, or rather, you can't read the text, right? If I try to open it with view all applications, if I try to open it with, let's go ahead and open it in Emacs. Sure. Does it croak? Oh, no, Emacs, I forgot, does everything, so it was able to render it because of course Emacs has a PDF viewer in it. View all applications. However, if I try to view it in Vim, which is just a text thing, notice that this is what the text of a PDF looks like. So trying to make heads or tails of this to figure out how to combine a bunch of things is what we would call madness, right? So instead, what I'm going to do is again, I don't know how to work with PDFs, so guess what my strategy is next, which is Python PDF module, right? Is there a module that works for PDFs or modules? And eventually I'll find one eventually, but actually I can go, oh wait, the textbook has one, which was the way I knew because so actually the textbook suggests using one. Working with PDF and Word documents is chapter 13. And it has that, and it does have a thing. So PDFs, reading text content from PDFs and kind of the module you need is PyPDF2. To install it, run pip install PyPDF2 from the command line. The module is case sensitive, so make sure the Y is lowercase and everything else is uppercase. Okay? So, and then again it mentions here, while PDFs are great for laying out text in a way that's easy for people to print and read, right? You read it, a PDF will always be displayed the same no matter what, whereas a Word file might open up differently on somebody else's web page, somebody else's program, depending what program they used. PDFs solve that problem, but they're not really easy to parse. So PyPDF2 is actually a bit difficult, right? How many times have you tried copying something from a PDF and it's just not good, right? Yeah, that's because it's great for looking at, not great for parsing. But fortunately, we really don't need to parse these things. We just need to merge these things. So what we're going to do is that we're going to first install PyPDF2. So I'll say sudo pip. For me, it's pip3 install. Pip3 install py. So it is uppercase P. It said it was case sensitive. PyPDF2. I have to enter my password. And it says I already have it, I think. Or, okay. And there. Got it. Boom. Downloaded. Installed. I can test it. Python. Import PyPDF2. Does not exist. So how do I import? Import PyPDF2. Oh, right. I know what I did wrong. I'm running Python 2. I have 2 versions of Python on my computer, 2 and 3. We're learning 3 right now because that's newer and has been for like over a decade. So Python 3, import PyPDF2. There. Okay, it worked. So now we need to so now I'm going to make a separate class because I had one downloader, and having a downloader seems to work just fine. But what we're going to do is we're going to see that basically we can open up a PDF file pretty easily with open PDF. So you would open a PDF file like normal, only because it's a binary file. You say,
Can you go back to the scope for 1 minute?
what?
Can you talk the code back for a second? Or the shell, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just that line over here.
Oh, okay.
So we import PyP to read something. We can import PyPDF2, open a PDF file, but we're going to use read binary format rather than any other format. So rather than read, because it's going to be a binary file, and we store it in the PDF file object. Then we pass that to PyPDF2's PDF file reader program, which gives me PDF reader. And that allows us to do something with that. We'll go into more detail about this later, but really, when you're working like this, you don't have to learn how the entire thing works. I just want to learn how to add a bunch of PDF modules together. Let me see if there's something like that. Merge. Ah, there we go. Merge. Okay. Merge page. Combining select pages from many PDFs. Many of them simply merge entire files together, right? So, this sounds right. Here's what I want to do. Find all the PDFs in the working directory, sort the file names so the PDFs are in order, write every page, and it says excluding the first page. Aha, this sounds perfect for what I want. All right. So this is going to basically combine a bunch of little things that I've done over this. You don't need to know all the components, but this is just kind of trying to demonstrate basically by reading, I can figure out how to do all this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file called PDF merger.py or Japanese PDF merger.py. I'm going to call that. Save it in Classroom, ITP, and save it over here, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to import that file, import PyPDF2, but I'm also going to need to import OS as well. And now I need to get a list of all the files that I've created here that I want to merge together. So PDF files is equal to an empty list. And then it said os.list, os.lister. Let me go ahead and print that out. So I'm going to run this right now, and it gives me the files. It's not what I want to do. That's not where I want it, though. Oh, the PDF files are in saved, though. So in that case, lister saved. Let's see if that works. Yes, it does. So in fact, all I have to do is say PDF files is equal to all the files in lister saved, right? Because I put them all in a folder called saved so that they wouldn't get confused with any other files, right? Useful when you're doing some batch stuff like this. So now if I do print PDF files, this is going to be a list of all the files to download. They're not in order though. You know, they're not really in order, so I'd rather want to deal with them in the order that they appeared. Fortunately, there's a function for that, which is called sorted. So let's see, the sorted PDF, sorted PDF files should handle that, and that should sort everything. Or rather, it would if I did PDF files is equal to sorted.pdf files. Oh, we've got a bit of an issue here. What's the issue? 1L1, one.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first one, yes.
Yeah, the first one is unfortunately like that. So what I'll need to do is I might go back to my PDF downloader and fix that, right? There's some kind of, there's sometimes you have to iterate through these like that. So I might want to change the naming rather than calling this. So I think what I want to do is instead is I'm just going to call them base URL plus string up. I'm just going to do, when I save it, I'm just going to call it saved slash i.pdf. Okay. So removing the whole 2L there. And then when I go back over here, let me go ahead and delete all the files I downloaded. This happens a lot, by the way, this kind of iterative process where you realize, and when you're dealing with that and you download a bunch of files and it was easy to get them, sometimes better just throw them out. What I'll do is I'll grab 1 through 73. So I'll grab these for 1 through 73. Or was it, how many files were in there for Irashai 1? Right? Irashai 1 had 73 files, so that means we need to do this loop 73 times. And then for the second time around, it needs to go through 63 times. So it needs to do 63 grabs. But again, I don't want to give the same names. And so I pasted this, I'm changing this to 2. So this loop will download Japanese 1. The second loop will download Japanese 2. Okay? And again, if you're not getting this, again, this video will be online, the code will be online. Okay? So now what do I need to do? I need to offset this a bit, because it should be I plus 73 there for the file name. Now why I plus 73? Sorry? So I don't overwrite the old files, right? Because the last one was would have been 73, so this will start it up at 74. So now we go through, we downloaded all the files. Let's see where this gets us now. Now if I go to the Japanese PDF merger, let's go ahead and see it. How does it sort them? 110, 100, 101, 102. I probably need to append some zeros in front of that. So I need an if statement of some kind. So if, and I'll probably have to put them in both. So if I is less than 10, then what I need to do is I need to do that and put them in and add, if I is less than 10, add 0, add 0, 0 in front of it, because the biggest thing was 3-digit. Else target file is equal to and let's go ahead and see how that works. Oh, I didn't delete all the old files, so that's going to be a bit of a mess. So yep, so I'm going to go ahead and otherwise I think I'll put a 0 in front of these. Yeah, we'll figure that out in a minute. Run it again, right? This actually takes a bit of time to run now because we're busy populating this. So let's see how that works out. I'm going to go ahead and run sorted, even though it's not got everything there. But it seems to put it in order just fine. Now let's test it now that they're all done. 101. So we do need to put zeros in front of everything. So 0, because we are getting up into the hundreds place. So we'll add a 0 here so that the two-digit numbers will become 3-digit numbers, right? Don't need to, because we know that it's all going to be less than 100 over here. But in here, we'll need a if I plus 73 is less than 100. And then we'll do target file is equal to open string 0 plus I, else. And you might not need, I don't think I needed this on Windows. It's just because of the weird way that I think Unix, I'm not sure. But whatever. Okay, and let's go ahead and see. Oh, this needs a plus 73 as well. Okay, now go and delete all my files again. Unfortunately, it's not actually that much. It's only 11 megabytes of data. Okay. Download. Run this. And they're finally all in order. Yes. Oh, sorry. Oh, that was a question. Okay, so we've got our files. So now we can go ahead and write a for loop, and we can open each one of them. So for PDF in PDF files, we can iterate through each of them just to confirm that we are opening it. We can do, we can do for target in PDF files. Open right target is equal to open. I'll just overwrite target with open, because that target is a string of of where that file is. Saved / PDF plus target, and we're going to read binary this time since we're reading a binary file. right? And now, what can I do? Now that I've got the file, I need to put it into PyPDF. So PDF is equal to PyPDF2 dot PDF. And let's go ahead and check because our book. It is in. Oh, come on. Oh, I had the second one. So PDF. So there we go. Open file name and then read the file reader object with PyPDF reader. So PDF file reader. PDF file reader target. And let's print, and I'm just going to print PDF to see what I've just opened. So it says I'm opening a bunch of PDF file readers objects. So I'm creating a whole bunch of them. Okay. So this really has two big utilities in it: the PDF file reader and the PDF file writer, which says right over here you create using this line of code. PDF writer is equal to PDF PyPDF2 PDF file writer, right? So again, I'm just learning this about. I haven't done this in like a year, by the way. So I'm like pretty much reviewing this as I'm going along. But it's not too hard because I understand how Python works. The more practice you do, the more comfortable you're going to be reading stuff and basically going, PDF writer, that makes sense that would exist. I want to write stuff. Okay. All right. So now we've opened up each PDF. And so what I want to do is find out, so this PDF writer add page has that. So let's see, is there a, so let's go ahead and look up and find out more about PDF writer now that it exists. I'm going to search the page for PDF writer. Add page, and then you wrote, got it. And then you write it to the to a target file. And then to add stuff, you add it to you use the add page function. Yep. Okay. That's not so bad at all. All right. So what we need to do is that we're going to essentially build a new PDF by grabbing each of the pages from each of the PDFs we opened. So for each, so we've got our PDF over here. Okay. So what we need to do is do for page in range PDF dot. Let's see, what was that? It was PDF dot num pages. Or rather, this is page num, rather. Page is equal to PDF dot get page. Page number. So hopefully you should be able to read this to understand what it's doing. But basically it's saying for every, here's the number of pages there are. For each of those pages, get page number this and store it in that object. And now what we're going to do is that we're just going to add it to our PDF writer. PDF writer dot add page. And all I'm going to do is just simply run through this, even though it's not going to do anything. And if it doesn't crash, that means we've probably done something right. All right. So.
Is num pages built in
Num pages is a built-in thing.
With no argument.
No arguments. It's basically here's the PDF. So let's read through this to understand what's going on, because believe it or not, we're like 2 steps away from done with this, or 3. We grabbed all the PDF files from the directory, we sorted them, and we created a PDF writer object. Now we created the PDF writer object on the outside of the loop because we don't want to create a new one each step of the loop. Okay. Then for each target in the PDF files, in other words, for each of these file names in there, I open folder. I have saved /target because again they're inside the saved folder, and I'm saying I want you to read a binary file. I can't read it natively, but I'm going to pass it to the PyPDF2 PDF file reader function, which can read it, and it gives me back a PDF file that I can or a PDF object that I can start using to read it. So for page number in PDF.num pages, so for every page in the PDF, I get that page, and I'm going to add it to the PDF writer. So the PDF writer now has all the pages, okay? And so what is it going to do? It is going to go ahead and write them. So I need a target to write it to. Out target, I'm going to call it, is equal to open all.pdf. I'm going to put it in the saved folder as well. Saved /all.pdf because it's all the PDF things. And of course I'm writing to a binary file, so I go write binary. And then I just forget the exact line for this, but it tells me right over here what it is, which is all I have to do is say, it's very simple then. PDF writer, PDD writer, PDF writer dot write dot and then out target, and that's it to write it to the PDF and to actually save it and confirm that's written. I just have to go out target dot close, right? So close the file I just opened. So I open the new file, write it, and close it. And then if I run it, it's running. Boom, there's all the list of files. And if I check over here, let's see, there's a file called all.pdf now, which has 172 pages and has all the PDFs there, and in the order that I want. So again, this took me a lot longer than I would have doing it myself. When I was doing it myself, it took me about 20 minutes. I wasn't going on asides. I wasn't like doing that. Again, I did it in essentially the waiting room of while waiting to see the doctor, right? Which everybody knows that can take a while. And I was hoping that actually by opening my laptop and getting to work on something, then the laws of inconvenience would mean that basically I would get immediately called to see the doctor, right? Everybody knows that. The minute you go to do something else, it's your turn. But alas, I was able to get this done, and so now I can, instead of trying to print 135 files and hoping that I printed all of them, right, because it's easy to lose track, I just have one file. So a lot of, but the idea here is that if this is like a task that you have to do for something like daily or something, like if you're stuck in an office job and you have to download a bunch of files and print them out for some reason, right? Then having a script like this, yeah, it took an hour to do when maybe we could have done the manual downloading in half an hour. But now every other day after that, you can just run the file and do that. In fact, you can set up a schedule for the. In fact, once you learn enough about how to use your computer, you can set up a schedule so that your computer will run that job at the time, at the exact, at a specific time. It's pretty cool. the entire philosophy of programming is I would rather spend 3 or 4 times as long learning how to automate it so that I never have to do it again. So I just have to do it so I can run it. The program will run. Things will get downloaded. It's a daily task, but now it's a task that takes me 3 seconds to do each day. And that kind of philosophy on figuring out, even if it takes you a while to do, will work. Now, we'll be grading your exams tomorrow morning, so you won't be getting them back quite yet, but we'll be doing our best to get them graded. So I have no idea how people did yet, and once I see that, I'll figure out any adjustments about that. All right. Sorry. What, this code? Give me a second.
Okay.